My wife drained our savings to fund her business trip. Now I know she was paying for her affair. I'm a 36-year-old man, married to Emily for 7 years. We've had our share of arguments, money, schedules, the usual, but I thought we were solid. About 4 months ago, she told me she'd been invited to a networking conference in Miami for her job. It sounded legit. She works in marketing, travels a few times a year, and this one was supposedly all expenses covered. I even helped her pack. She left with 2 suitcases, kissed me goodbye, and promised to call every night. She did call. Briefly. Always. Just before heading to bed, or between sessions. Her voice was upbeat, almost too upbeat, and there was always background noise, music, chatter, clinking glasses. I told myself it was normal for a conference. 2 weeks after she got back, I noticed something strange. I was checking our joint savings account to transfer money for some home repairs, and I saw multiple withdrawals, thousands of dollars, over those same 4 days. She was supposedly at her conference. The withdrawals were from ATMs in Miami Beach. When I confronted her, she said her company had reimbursed her for the trip, but she used our money up front for some networking dinners and exclusive events. That made no sense. Her company had always handled expenses directly. I called her bluff. I asked to see the reimbursement. She stammered, said she'd misplaced the paperwork, then switched to anger, accusing me of not trusting her, making her feel policed. That was the first time I really felt something was wrong. The second time was when one of the withdrawals was from a luxury hotel that wasn't even the one she told me she stayed in. I started digging. What I found made my hands shake. The hotel withdrawal was from a 5-star beachfront place that cost more per night than our monthly mortgage. I called the hotel, pretending to be confirming a shared booking, and gave Emily's full name. The receptionist cheerfully confirmed she had stayed there for 4 nights, in a suite, no less, and then casually mentioned, "And your husband accompanied you, correct?" I froze. I didn't correct her. I just asked for the receipt to be emailed. When it came through, my stomach dropped. The booking had been made for 2 adults, with extras that made my blood run cold: champagne on arrival, couple spa treatments, romantic dinner packages. None of it made sense unless she wasn't alone. That night, while Emily was in the shower, I picked up her phone. She'd changed her password, something she'd never done in all our years together. That was confirmation enough that there was something she didn't want me to see. I wasn't going to give up. Over the next few days, I quietly went through our bank statements, combing through every transaction. There were charges from jewelry stores I'd never heard of, high-end restaurants in Miami, even a boutique men's clothing store. Men's clothing. She doesn't have a brother. She doesn't buy gifts for her dad. The picture was forming in my head, and I hated it. Then came the real blow. I reached out to one of Emily's coworkers I knew socially, a woman named Kara. I asked her, casually, "Hey, how was the Miami conference?" Kara looked puzzled. "What conference?" My ears were ringing. Kara swore there hadn't been any company trip since last summer. Emily had taken vacation days during that time. When Emily came home that night, I was sitting at the kitchen table with my laptop open to the hotel receipt. She froze when she saw it. "Want to explain this?" I asked, keeping my voice as steady as I could. Her eyes darted between me and the screen. "It's not what it looks like." I laughed, a short, humorless sound. "So you didn't spend thousands of our savings on a luxury suite for 2, champagne, spa treatments, and dinners? Tell me what it does look like, Emily." She crumbled fast. Tears. Shaking hands. "It wasn't planned. It just happened." The words every betrayed spouse dreads. I didn't say anything. I just let her keep talking. She admitted she'd been seeing someone from out of town for the past 3 months. A man she met at a marketing seminar months before. He lived in Miami. They'd been talking every day, and when she told him she had to go to a conference, he suggested she come down early to spend time together. Spend time together. Her euphemism for what I knew damn well was a full-blown affair. And the worst part, she admitted she'd paid for almost everything. His flights, the hotel, the dinners. She said he wasn't in a good financial place, but she didn't want that to stop them from seeing each other. I just sat there, numb, while my wife confessed that she had drained the savings we'd built together, money we'd been putting aside for a home renovation, to bankroll another man's luxury vacation. When she finished, she tried to reach for my hand. I pulled it back. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" I asked. She whispered, "I love you, but I care about him." That was the moment I knew our marriage was broken beyond repair. But I wasn't just going to walk away quietly. I was going to make sure she felt every single consequence of what she had done. And I already had a plan forming in my head. The moment she said she cared about him, something inside me shut off. It wasn't just anger, it was a cold, focused clarity. I realized that for months she had been living in a parallel reality, feeding me half-truths while pouring our shared future into another man's pockets. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just looked her in the eye and said, "You're going to regret every cent you spent on him." She flinched. "Please, don't make this ugly." I almost laughed in her face. Ugly? She had no idea what ugly looked like. The next morning, I called my bank. I froze our joint account and moved the remaining funds into an account under my name only. I canceled her secondary card linked to my credit account. Then I called our mortgage company and removed her access to the online portal. I wasn't going to let her take another cent from me. After that, I went into what I can only describe as silent collection mode. I started pulling receipts, screenshots, and statements. Every ATM withdrawal in Miami, every transfer from our savings, every hotel invoice and jewelry store charge. I even went to the men's boutique and got the clerk to confirm she'd bought two tailored suits for a man who wasn't her husband. Next, I called her mother. Emily always cared about appearances with her family. I told her mom, in a calm voice, that Emily had taken money from our joint savings to finance a romantic getaway with another man. I emailed her the receipts before she could say a word. Her mom's silence was all the confirmation I needed that the shame would sink in. By that evening, Emily came home furious. "How dare you involve my family? How dare I said, stepping closer. "You involved our life savings, Emily. You involved me without my consent. I'm just leveling the playing field." She started crying, talking about how she'd made a mistake, how she was caught up in the moment, and needed to feel alive. That phrase, needed to feel alive, almost made me lose it. I'd been working overtime, picking up extra projects to give us a financial cushion, while she was busy feeling alive with some freeloader in Miami. That night, I slept in the guest room. I kept my phone with me, and I started contacting people, mutual friends, her colleagues, anyone who might see through her FADE once they knew the truth. I didn't embellish. I just told them the facts. She drained our savings, lied about a work trip, and funded another man's luxury vacation. The responses were a mix of shock, pity, and outrage. And I could tell the ripple effect was starting. People were already looking at her differently. The next step was the one that really made her panic. I drafted an email to her company's HR department. I attached the conference receipts, showing that she had lied about her trip being work-related and taken vacation time under false pretenses. I didn't know if it would cost her her job, but I knew it would at least force her to face questions she didn't want to answer. The morning after I sent it, she stormed into the kitchen with her phone in hand. "You're trying to destroy my life." I sipped my coffee. "No, Emily, you destroyed your own life. I'm just making sure you can't rewrite the story to make yourself the victim." She looked at me with pure hatred. But beneath that, I saw fear. And that fear told me I was only getting started. I didn't plan on going after him at first. I thought if I dismantled her lies, that would be enough. But the more I pieced together the receipts, the more I realized her affair partner, let's call him Ryan, wasn't just a bystander. He was in on it. He knew she was married. He knew she was taking money from our account. And he enjoyed the perks without spending a dime of his own. So I made a decision. If he thought he could live in the shadows while my life collapsed, I was going to drag him into the light. First, I tracked him down. A quick cross-check of Emily's phone records and a couple of reverse number lookups led me straight to his Instagram. His profile was full of gym selfies, rented cars, and motivational quotes about hustling. Exactly the kind of guy who thrives off someone else's hard work. Then I noticed something that made my blood boil. Pictures from Miami. Same dates as Emily's conference. Same hotel, in the background as one of the charges I found. The captions were vague, living my best life, leveling up, but the comments told the real story. One friend wrote, "Man, who's the sugar mama?" Ryan had replied with a wink emoji. That was all I needed. I started compiling a folder, screenshots of his posts, the hotel invoice, the jewelry purchase she made, and the bank withdrawals. I paired them with screenshots of Emily's text to me during those same days, where she claimed she was heading to a keynote speech or grabbing dinner with colleagues. The timeline matched perfectly. Once I had the file airtight, I sent it to his family. I found his sister's Facebook and messaged her first. "Hi, I think you should know where your brother was last month and how he paid for it." It came out of a married couple's savings account. She didn't respond right away, but a few hours later I got a simple, "I knew something was off. Thank you." Then I posted a public album on my own social media, titled, "Where Our Savings Went." I didn't tag anyone, but the photos and receipts spoke for themselves. Miami skyline, hotel invoice, bank withdrawals, jewelry receipt. And Ryan's grinning selfies in the same hotel lobby. It exploded. Mutual friends started sharing it. People tagged each other in the comments. The humiliation spread faster than I imagined. Emily came home that evening shaking with rage. "You've ruined everything. Do you have any idea what people are saying about me? About him?" I leaned back against the counter and said, "Yeah, I have a pretty good idea. That's what happens when you blow 10 grand of our savings on a guy who doesn't even own his own car." She tried to threaten me, said she'd take me to court for defamation. I laughed and told her, "Truth isn't defamation, Emily. And every word, every photo, every receipt I've posted is real. You signed those withdrawal slips. You booked that hotel. You lied to my face." 2 days later, Ryan messaged me directly. It was a pathetic attempt at bravado, calling me insecure and telling me to man up instead of dragging her down. I replied with a single line, "Insecure men don't have your lease agreement in front of them." Because, yes, I'd found that too. Emily had covered 1 month of his rent back in February. I still had the transfer receipt. By the end of the week, Ryan's Instagram was wiped clean. Emily was avoiding every mutual friend we had, and her own mother stopped returning her calls. But I wasn't done, because there was still one place left where the truth would cut the deepest: her workplace. If there was one thing Emily cared about almost as much as her image, it was her job. She'd built her marketing specialist identity into a full-blown personal brand. LinkedIn posts about empowering women in business, Instagram stories from conferences, and motivational quotes about integrity and trust. The hypocrisy made me physically sick. But here's the thing: I had proof that she'd lied about her business trip, and that she'd used company time and my money to bankroll an affair. If I gave her employer even a fraction of what I had, they'd have no choice but to act. I didn't go in guns blazing. I wanted this to be calculated. I drafted an anonymous email to her company's HR department. Subject: misuse of company resources and fraudulent expense claims. "Hi, I'm reaching out regarding a staff member, Emily, last name, who recently claimed to attend a company conference in Miami. I have substantial evidence that this trip was not for work purposes, but for a personal relationship, funded through marital savings and potentially misrepresented on her expense reports. Attached are supporting documents, hotel invoice from a location not affiliated with your event, bank withdrawals during work hours, public social media posts from the individual she was with. I believe you'll find these details conflict with your expense and conduct policies." I attached everything: screenshots, bank statements, the conference schedule she'd lied about, and sent it from a burner account. It didn't take long. 2 days later, I got my confirmation. Emily stormed into the house around 3 p.m., earlier than she ever got home from work, slamming the door so hard the picture frames rattled. "They called me in," she hissed, her eyes darting around like she was looking for hidden cameras. "HR, my manager, even the director was there. They had a printout of your little email, and they knew everything. Do you have any idea what you've done?" I didn't even flinch. "I didn't do anything." "You did. You lied to your employer, you lied to me, and you used money we saved for our future to pay for hotel rooms and dinners with some gym rat. Now you're just facing the consequences." She tried to spin it, of course, said she was networking with industry contacts, and that the conference location changed last minute, but HR wasn't buying it. They'd already called the real conference organizers. She hadn't been registered at all. And here's where it got worse for her. They put her on unpaid suspension pending a full investigation into her expense reports from the past year. If they found even one more instance of her falsifying claims, she'd be terminated for cause. She looked at me like she wanted to claw my face off. "You're destroying my career," she spat. I leaned forward and said, "No, Emily, I'm just making sure your career matches your character." For the next week, she barely spoke to me unless it was to plead for me to retract the claims. She swore she'd end things with Ryan, pay back the savings, do whatever it took. She even suggested marriage counseling, but I wasn't buying it. Not when I still had the messages she'd sent him just a month ago, calling me pathetic and telling him she was done being married to a dead weight. By the time the HR investigation wrapped up, the verdict was in: she was fired, effective immediately. No severance, no reference letter. That same night, I slid divorce papers across the kitchen table. The night I served Emily the divorce papers, I swear the air in the kitchen felt heavy enough to choke on. She just stared at them, blinking slowly, like she couldn't process that this was real. "You're not serious," she finally said, her voice cracking. "You're just angry we can get past this." I stayed calm. "No, Emily. You spent months lying to me, draining our savings, sleeping with someone else, and humiliating me. This isn't a fight we can get past. This is who you are." She tried to reach for my hand, but I pulled it back. I could see the panic setting in, not the panic of losing me, but the panic of losing the comfort of the life I'd built for us. I've lost my job, my reputation. What am I supposed to do? She said, her tone shifting from pleading to angry. You're going to leave me with nothing. You left me with nothing the day you decided your affair was worth more than our marriage, I said. I'm just returning the favor. From that moment, it turned into a full-scale battle. She called my parents, trying to make me look like the villain, told them I was throwing her out while she was going through a rough time. She even went to some of our mutual friends, spinning this sob story about how I was unforgiving and vindictive. What she didn't know was that I'd already sent the truth to the people who mattered. I forwarded those same bank statements, screenshots, and proof of her affair to my parents and a few close friends. I didn't embellish. I didn't rant. I just let the evidence speak. The social fallout hit her hard. People she thought were loyal started distancing themselves. Invitations stopped. Texts went unanswered. Even her own sister told her she needed to take accountability before anyone could trust her again. As for Ryan, the gym rat she'd blown our savings on, he bailed as soon as he realized she no longer had a high-paying job or a joint bank account to dip into. I found out through one of his Instagram posts that he was already in Cancun with someone new. That must have been a brutal wake-up call for her. The divorce moved fast. I had enough evidence of financial misconduct to make sure she didn't touch a cent more than she was legally entitled to. She left with her clothes, some personal items, and the car that was already in her name. Everything else, house, remaining savings, investments, stayed with me. The last time I saw her was when she came by to pick up the last of her stuff. She stood in the doorway for a long moment, like she wanted to say something. Then she finally asked, "Do you ever think you'll forgive me?" I looked her straight in the eye and said, "Forgiveness isn't the issue, Emily. It's trust. And you burned that to the ground." She left without another word. That night, for the first time in months, I slept without waking up in the middle of the night replaying every lie she'd told me. I wish I could say I felt some kind of closure, but the truth is she taught me something I'll never unlearn. Sometimes the person you build your life with is the one who will torch it for their own comfort. And I don't think I'll ever see marriage the same way again. I don't know if that makes me free or just permanently guarded. But either way, I'm done with her. I can start a brand new banger story in English right now if you want me to keep the same level of shock and intensity. Follow me for more stories.